everybody. Good afternoon. And for those of you who are new today, welcome to National Intern Week. My name is Heather. I'm from Career Map and I'm going to be your host for this session, which has been held by Roche. So in the final session of today, we're going to hear all about the programs available at Roche, the recruitment processes, the timelines, and also taking the chance to talk directly with the panel to discuss their own experience as interns. But before I hand over to the team, I'll just do a bit of housekeeping for you. For those of you who aren't familiar with this platform, we have a chat box on the right-hand side. So any questions that you have throughout the session, please submit these into the chat box and we will pose them to the team at the end of the session in our Q&A section. Don't worry about missing out on any information because this recording will be sent to you via email. So you don't have to worry about remember everything or it not come into your inbox shortly. We will do that. The only thing I would say is if you see anything of real interest right now, take a picture or do a screenshot so you've got it in the immediate, like in the here and the now, basically. Anyway, without further ado, let me pass over to the team and I will see you for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Heather. I hope everyone is hearing me. So I'll start this presentation by saying that our intention today is for you to really understand what Roche is, what we do in our day-to-day, and how starting your career at a company as Roche can really help you leverage any career ambition and purpose that you want. And if you're interested in really having an impact, it is a great company to start with. So before starting, and this is the first thing that we need to check. So the slides are not updated, Heather. I don't know why the ones that I have here are not the ones that I want to present. Give me 1 second.
Right. Okay, let me stop this. Can you send me via email the slides?
Sure. So, and then to avoid any, can you share your email in the chat?
Yeah, of course I can. Just bear with.
Sorry, everyone. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I'd rather share the slides that we prepared.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
While we do this, would it be a good idea to introduce everybody?
Sure. If you, Jasmine and Robin, just share a bit because we want them to introduce a little bit deeper in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 sec.
So, Jasmine, would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
My name's Jasmine. I've just started Roche in June as a placement student, and I'm in the product development data science team. And within that, I sit in DSE. There's a lot of acronyms. I'll try not to use them, which is digital strategy and enablement. And yeah, I'm one of, I think, 9 placement students in my particular team. And then we have lots of other placement students in all different departments.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Robin?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Robin O'Connor and so my job title is quite long, but regulated bioanalysis and biosample operations associate. But I have just finished university, so I'm a graduate and I've just gone back to Roche because like Jasmine, I did my placement year at Roche, but I did it within clinical operations.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just to let you know, I've received the presentation, so I'm just going to look to upload it now. It can sometimes take a little bit of time, so just please bear with.
No worries. And I can start by introducing myself as well. So my name is Juliana. I guess all of you are seeing that I don't have a UK accent. So I'm actually from Colombia in Latin America. And then I moved with Roche to Spain. So currently I'm based in Madrid, Spain, but I have a role that is called Early in Career Partner, which basically supports the region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, in terms of really driving programs that connect with people that are kicking off their career. So how do we guarantee that the programs that we offer really match your interests? How do we guarantee that we are connected with universities? And at the same time, how do we offer programs that really help you guys have a great experience and eventually be as Robin that decides to come back to Roche and that really sees our company as a platform to grow, to develop, and to learn about the pharmaceutical industry. My journey at Roche has been quite long. So I've been part of Roche since 2016. I started in Colombia and then I was able to move internationally, which is one of the perks of working in a multinational company, always in HR. So I've been working in talent acquisition and I've been working as well in terms of development. And this role of early in career has been my role for the past 2 years. And now that we have the slides, and thank you so much, Heather, and everyone for bearing with me, I'll tell a little bit more on what Roche is. And this was my introduction slide. I already covered it. So now, Heather, if we could share the first video, it would be great.
Absolutely. If we can all just turn our microphones off, that'd be brilliant.
A healthier future. That's what drives us. And as the world evolves, so do we. For over 125 years, we have taken on some of the most complex challenges in healthcare. Listening and responding to the ever-changing needs of people around the world. We focus on the long term, leading investment in research and development, striving to improve lives today and for generations to come. We're advancing science to ensure everyone has access to the healthcare they need. Always innovating, we bring together dedicated people and diverse perspectives from across our global network, empowering each other to keep breaking new ground. But we can't do it alone. To succeed, we collaborate with each other, with our partners, with governments, with patients. Proud of what we do. We're here because we care. Our work creates a future where we all have more time with the people we love. That's what makes us who we are. That's what makes us Roche.
Okay, so that was a first glance of what Roche is. And basically what I want to do in the next couple of minutes is to share a bit more of what we do, why do we do it, and how this connects to our passion as employees. This is our CEO, and these are his words. Roche focuses on innovation for people's health around the world. With pharmaceutical and diagnostics under one roof, we are uniquely positioned to improve care along the patient journey. Whenever you hear anyone from Roche, you would be amazed by they mentioning how patients really drive what we do and how innovation, life sciences, and really doing the research and development that is needed to get to new treatments, to new diagnostics makes a difference in any patient around the world. And Roche has one big difference from other pharmaceutical companies, and is that we have the whole journey of the patient. And I'm going to explain this in a little bit further. So if we want a healthier future and we really want to make it sustainable, research and development is part of what we do day to day. And Roche has been driving R&D for the past 125 years, this year 126. And we have taken most of the most complex challenges in healthcare, really finding where we have a gap where patients are suffering and how to really unleash the potential of our people to get to new innovations. This is Roche at a glance. So I just shared, we were founded in Basel in Switzerland, 1896, so 126 years ago. It's one of the largest family-owned companies worldwide, which means that part of our culture is really triggered by that family environment, and the way that we interact with each other is based on a culture and on values that really trigger and helps us feel that we are in a place that we want to be. We're uniquely positioned to integrate pharma diagnostics and data insights. Yearly, and in 2022, Roche invested 14.1 billion francs Swiss in research and development. And this is a lot of money. And how do we do this? Is by being effective, optimizing processes, and being sure that everything that we do is linked to this research and development, which is basically the core of our business. We have around more than 100,000 employees worldwide. 14.2 million of people have been treated with our medicines around the world. 32 Roche medicines are part of the WHO essential medicines. So basically what this means is that they are gold standards for healthcare everywhere. We're ranked 10th in the Access to Medicine Index, and this is something major for us because unfortunately, not all the countries and not everyone has the possibility to get the treatments and the diagnostics that they need. And we work really hard on making this happen in every location. And 29 billion tests have been conducted with our diagnostics portfolio. So as you see, the impact that Roche has is huge. We have offices in more than 150 countries. And this means that we have people working in almost everywhere, making sure that this innovation gets to the patients when they need it. And this is our purpose, doing now what patients need next. And what does this mean? It means that day to day, we're really thriving and looking to make things better. And this means that we want to be and keep doing innovations. We want to be able to attract the best talents, and we want to make sure that everything that we do links to that patient journey, because we know that a lot of the patients that we are helping not necessarily will recover from their illness, but yes, probably they will have a better chance of having a better quality of life if they get the treatment that they need, if they are diagnosed accurately, and if they have time to respond to that specific illness or disease that they might have. So if we work really hard today, we're going to be able to bring those innovations for the future. And I have mentioned this diagnostics, pharma, and how do this link together in Roche. And I want to get a little bit deeper into this. So we really have a big competitive advantage in terms of having these two businesses being together, because we have synergies that are really making the difference for patients. And what does this mean? We have two big functions globally. One is diagnostics. What do we do in diagnostics? Basically, we create the machines, the medical devices, and the softwares that help laboratories in hospitals and healthcare institutions diagnose patients. So as an example, when the COVID pandemic, every time you had a test, these tests needed to run through one of our big machines. And these machines are connected with software that as well is created by Roche. And at the end, this gives us a result, which is key information for the physicians or healthcare providers to know how you are in this case, if you had COVID or not, but at the same time, see what is the best possible treatment that you would need for that specific disease. We have more than 1,000 different diagnostics products in many different therapeutic areas, or how we call them, like the different type of diseases. So it could be oncology, it could be hemophilia, it could be neuroscience diseases. So how do we create the best way for the healthcare providers to be able to diagnose and prevent these diseases? And if you think a bit further, if we have millions of patients having tests and getting results, this is data. And the way that we use this data is what helps us then connect patients to treatment. If we're able to benchmark the data of patients everywhere and understand what was the outcome of the treatment they received, we're able to really target medicine, which is where Roche wants to go in the future and what we're working really, really hard right now to accomplish. Diagnostics is key for healthcare providers, because if we do have this data, the NHS, for instance, is able to prepare for diseases in the future. If we see, for instance, that a patient has a pattern of having high cholesterol for many years after having a blood test, then the NHS is able to prevent potentially heart diseases for this person. And this is how the data and diagnostics are really key to make key decisions on our healthcare providers, hospitals, that will eventually help patients in the future. The way that then diagnostics connects with pharma is with this data. And what we're currently doing in pharma is really doing research and development to get to new molecules and to really get to new therapies that can really serve the need of diseases that haven't had a chance in a long time. Roche has been, as time goes by, being more concentrated in chronic disease, in diseases that might not have a cure, but that can really be better managed with a specific treatment. And we have been leaders in oncology for a long time, having their medicines that really create a different outcome of the disease and that can really help people recover. As time passes, Roche has been very, very driven to get to those diseases that do not have any gold standard treatment. Diseases that in the past took a long time to be diagnosed. And then when someone was diagnosed, there wasn't anything to do. And that's why, once again, R&D is the main piece of our business, and where we are really working hard in terms of data, in terms of our scientists, and in bringing the talents to make this work. So as you can see in the slide, we're end-to-end serving patients depending on what they need, and really leveraging data and technology to be the connectors between diagnostics and treatment or pharma. At the same time, Roche invests as well in getting the right partners to make this happen. So as a group, we're Roche, but we have different companies around the world that serve our purpose and help us get to where we want to be. So Genentech is how Roche is called in the US, and in which we have a very big R&D group, which is called GRED. We have Chugai, which is in Japan, that as well is really concentrated in R&D. So between Genentech, Roche, and Chugai, we have hundreds of people working in research and development for new treatments and for new diagnostics. And as well, we have some new acquisitions. So Roche grows as well for mergers and acquisitions. We have Spark, Foundation Medicine, and Flatiron that bring that data capability to Roche, so that they were able to get to that personalized medicine, which is what we're trying to bring for our patients in the future. And how those personalized medicine work. So in the past, we had an approach in which one size fits all. So basically, we had standards of medicines or treatments or diagnostics that anyone with potential symptoms would get to, and then eventually the physician would say, okay, this is the best treatment available, regardless of your specifics. In the present, we're trying to have more targeted medicines. So getting the data of previous patients, understanding what went well, what went bad, what treatments did they receive, and with this having a specific treatment or selecting the best treatment on the options that are available. And I must say that in general, the healthcare industry is now innovating much faster than in the past. So this means that we have more treatments out there and we just need to select the best one. But what we want to do with advanced analytics, with artificial intelligence, with data in general, is to get to individualized treatments in which we're offering smarter decisions, more efficient both for the patient and the healthcare providers, and really having personalized care, which means that you will receive the best possible option of treatment that is available. And having this personalized approach is not just serving Roche, it serves our competitors as well, because with the way that Roche is evolving in diagnostics and in data, we can help the whole industry really get to the patients that they need to get. So this is what we're trying to do really hard. We're investing a lot of resources in getting to these individualized treatments. And we do see that this is going to change the way that we are currently being treated and how our families or close patients are being treated. And this takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of bright minds working together in solving these problems. And you might already think of a lot of potential roadblocks, for instance, personal data and the privacy that obviously every patient has. But that's part of how we're trying to make the data as anonymized as possible to make sure that we have a protection of the patient's rights as well. And basically, as I mentioned, yes, we're doing research and development. We're creating these new technologies and innovations. But innovations without getting to the right people really don't matter, right? And as you might already think, the UK is one of the countries that has better access for patients because obviously it is an advanced country, the NHS is present, there is a lot of involvement from the government. But there are countries in which this doesn't happen. There are countries around the world in which patients don't get to a diagnosis or a treatment when they need it. And that's why we work really closely with the healthcare systems in helping the governments build strong and resilient ways to responding and really making sure that they understand that investing in healthcare is essential. We want our treatments to be everywhere and to get to the patients that really need them. So we work as well in partnering and really being sure that we're there for our external environment in creating solutions that might be innovative in making sure that the way that healthcare is financed, depending on the countries, does not harm what patient needs. And as well, once again, R&D is expensive. So making sure that the costs can be shared and that we can work together with governments in making this happen. So we want to make sure that our innovation gets where it needs to be. And that has a lot to do with governments and with healthcare providers. And our impact in society for the past 126 years has been big. So we have had, and this is constantly being updated. So as I mentioned, R&D is the core of our business. This means that every year things happened and are approved. So in 2022, we have 27 major approvals around the world. More than 150 product candidates in clinical development. And clinical development is big in the UK, and I'll get there. 24 tests and 7 new platforms launched in 2022. We are as well mindful of our impact to the environment. So 32% decrease in our environment impact per employees since 2019. 81% of our electricity is coming from sustainable sources. 25% decrease in greenhouse gas emissions since 2004. We have as well a very big effort in how making sure that our employees are happy and motivated. So as you've seen, 37% of women are in executive positions. 15.5% are underrepresented nationalities in executive positions. So diversity and inclusion is as well key of what we do. And we are always trying to make sure that we understand how our employees are feeling and how to make better their experience in working for Roche. 82% of our employees understand how their own personal contribution is achieving better outcomes for patients around the world. And this is important because we really think that for someone to be happy working at Roche, they need to have fulfillment in what they do. And they really need to see the impact of what their jobs create on patients. And 85% of our employees believe Roche has a positive impact in society. So we really want people to be inspired in what they do, to feel commitment in really getting to their full potential, and obviously giving them the tools to grow and to understand where their talents and skills can add the most value for us at the end, getting to those patients that we want to get. And development in general and like employee experience is a big piece of what we do in HR, and we really try to be connected with our people to see what we can do better. And this is our Chief People Officer. And if employees are aligned towards a shared purpose and ways of working, have the support they need to contribute their best, and work together without boundaries, they can deliver truly amazing outcomes. And then now I'll speak a little bit more deeply about the UK. So in the UK, we have two main campuses. So we have pharma, as I mentioned, we have these two big functions, pharma and diagnostics. We really work together, but they are different businesses at the end. So the way that they work in a day-to-day perspective, the way that they engage with our external stakeholders, the way that the business as a whole operates is different. So we do have them separated, like in day-to-day perspectives, but for future projects, we are very linked. So pharma, which is our pharmaceutical treatments, in the UK, we're based in Welwyn Garden City in Hertfordshire. And in the UK, we really play a key role for the Roche research and development program, because we do have a very, very big representation of clinical studies and clinical trials and operations in general, which is the basis to making sure that the different molecules and innovations that we have in our pipeline are having the expected results from those clinical trials. As you know, if we don't get to all the phases of a clinical trial, then we wouldn't get our medicines to be approved. So the UK is a very big player globally for our R&D organization. And then diagnostics, we have more than 650 colleagues based on our office and national distribution center in Burgess Hill in West Sussex. And basically here what we have is mostly commercial. So basically our teams are working with the different hospitals and healthcare institutions in making sure that they're doing a well use of our different lab equipment, medical devices, and diagnostics solutions at the end, that they are optimizing and that they're getting the results that patients need. Heather, can you help me play the second video, please?
Absolutely. I'll just do that now and remind us all to just turn our mics off.
At Roche UK, we believe time is precious.
For well over a century,
we focused our energy and investment
in developing tests and treatments that change lives
and give us more quality time with the people we love.
And together with others, we're solving healthcare's greatest challenges.
Helping to achieve better results.
By connecting early diagnosis
to targeted treatment and ongoing support.
Healthcare matters to all of us.
That's why we work hard to ensure that all our new medicines
are made available to those who need them through the NHS.
Wherever they live.
Whatever their circumstances.
This is healthcare for everyone.
Healthcare that doesn't discriminate.
And while change takes time,
we persevere and we collaborate.
Continuing to reinvest what we make
back into research and development.
So that future generations can thrive.
Proud of what we do, we are here because we care.
Brilliant specialists
working together
to transform the lives of patients and their loved ones.
That's what makes us who we are.
That's what makes us Roche UK.
Thank you. And then how and what do we have in the UK? So Roche supports millions of UK patients. 820 million diagnostics tests are used to confirm and rule out or manage health conditions in the UK. We have treated thousands of patients that have benefited from Roche medicines in our diabetes monitoring and insulin delivery in the UK as well. And just for you to have this as potentially a fact is currently Roche contributes to 1.26 billion to the UK economy. and it creates 21,260 jobs, not just directly by employing them, but by our supply chain spending, by our different partners externally, and like the employee spending in general. So the UK is one of our biggest markets. We can say that UK is one of the 5 top countries for Roche, meaning that we have around 2,500 direct employees between Welling and Burgess-Hill, and that generally the impact that they bring to Roche is really, really important for our company. And now, this is where it starts to get better for you guys. So what do we offer, and what do we have as industrial placements or internships? So basically, what we offer for internships are like this industrial placements that, as you know, is like what typically a student does in the second year, so the sandwich year or so, in which they come to industry and have a year-long experience. Here, you would be able to be part of any of the different programs that we have. I'll show this in a bit, and you will have a specific mentor that will guide you through that experience in a department that really matches your interest. So you'll see that every time that we post an opportunity, we have the job description with the requirements for the job, but as well with the functions that you're going to have, and as well what are the academic backgrounds that we're looking for. This internship might apply as well for master's and joint master's program students that might qualify for these roles. And as well as an opportunity for you to experience in subject areas related to your degree or a particular you're interested in, and gaining that practical experience that is super important to get a job in the future. Our internships can vary between 3 months. So we do have summer internships, and as well we have these industrial placements, which are the longer ones that are between 12 to 13 months long. How is our recruitment cycle? So applications start in October. So from next week on, you'll see all of them posted in our career page. We do have some CV screening, and then we have assessment centers and interviews. And all of our programs for industrial placements start in September. If you're interested in summer internships, they might be between May and September as well. And what do we offer? So here you can see some of the bigger programs we have. We're more or less thinking that we're going to have 30 open positions for this recruitment cycle. As I mentioned, basically the bigger area in the UK is R&D. So most of the placements opportunities that we have are related to life sciences. We have some of them in clinical trials, clinical operations. We have as well data science industrial placements that are as well part of the R&D organization, but from the data perspective on analyzing the results of our different clinical trials and really getting into the data to get insights. We have as well opportunities in informatics. So we do have a big team that focuses on infrastructure and technology. We have as well early research and development. So we have some positions in the PRED clinical operations, and as well some of them around quality, around medical affairs, around regulated bioanalysis and biosample. And generally for all of these programs, we're pretty open on your academic degree. So Roche does not hire based on what you study 100%, but actually on your skills and what you can bring to us, your motivation, and like the aptitudes that really make you a candidate that shows that alignment to our purpose, fulfillment in working in something that is going to help our patients, and eventually making sure that you have Roche as our employer of choice to come back. And we have a big program that is called Opening Up Roche Summer Internship, which is basically for people that are interested in logistics and supply chain and that come from a diversity background. So this program has the intent to opening up opportunities for people from underrepresented backgrounds that not necessarily think that Roche might be an employer for them. And it's a great program that we're really proud of, and that we're bringing people from like low income, we're bringing people from different minority groups that for them to have an experience in a company as ours. All of our different programs are posted in the career page. You will get when you see them, you will have like the opportunity to read everything about them and like the specifics to apply as well. And then now I'm gonna invite my two panelists today, in which I think it's gonna be great for you guys to meet, because they had the same experience and they once were on your shoes on really making the decision to start their career and to apply to an internship. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to ask them some questions based on their experience, and as well they're going to do a brief introduction about themselves and their experience at Roche, and then at the end we can have the Q&A. So Jasmine, are you there?
So I've just had a message from Jasmine saying that her laptop is restarting, so I can introduce myself first, and then if she joins, but if not, I guess we can just get started. So as I sort of introduced myself briefly before, I'm Robin, and that is my sort of lengthy new job title at the top, Regulated Bioanalysis and Biosample Operations Associate. So our department is called RBBO, which is a bit shorter than that. So I work in early phase clinical trials in what Juliana mentioned is called our PRED department, and our sort of motto and what we do within RBPO is translating biosamples, samples that we take from patients, into new medicines for patients. So part of my day-to-day job is working alongside our biosample project leaders and our bioanalytical managers and sort of supporting them in their day-to-day. So we follow the samples that we collect from patients at our clinical trial sites, and we sort of follow them along their life cycle. So when they go to our central labs, to our bioanalysis labs, and then when the data goes to our clinical pharmacologists and data managers who sort of process it and get the results on our clinical trial. So part of what we do is basically making sure that all the information matches up along the sample sort of cycle in our trial. And sort of tracking those and things like that. So there's quite a lot of data surrounding our samples, but it's just making sure everything runs smoothly. So just a bit of background for me and sort of, I don't know, people that are thinking about doing placements. This was the background that I came from, but this is, as Juliana says, sort of Roche accept people from all backgrounds. We've had people of completely different degrees to me that came, and also like it varies between department as well. So I did my A-levels in biology, chemistry and geography. I feel like geography is a bit of a rogue one, but I just wasn't fancying doing the maths A-level that most people were doing. And then I did a biological sciences degree at Durham University. I think you can see in that photo I've got my freshers wristbands on and everything, and I'm pretty happy. And then the COVID pandemic hit, and then I sort of wanted to get more exposure into industry and also try and sort of delay my university experience because everything was a bit disrupted. So I found Roche, applied, and I did my placement year in PRED clinical operations. So in early phase, like I am now, but working in clinical operations. So sort of more oversight of the whole clinical trial that we have. Whereas now I'm more sort of aligned to biosamples, but within clinical operations, you sort of oversee all the different functions that are involved in a clinical trial. So there I was assisting the study leaders. So I sort of started off shadowing and then moving through to becoming pretty much a study lead by the end of my 13-month placement year. And it was amazing. I had a great time. I think we'll discuss that a bit further. And then I went back to Durham University to complete my final year of university. Things were a bit less disrupted, but I think, you know, the impacts of the pandemic were still felt a little bit. I've just put on here that I was involved with Durham Marrow, which was a society where we signed young people onto the stem cell register. And I'll just put it on here because I know they have student groups at universities all across the country. And it's an incredible thing to be a part of, you know, signing people onto the stem cell register to try and save the lives of patients with blood cancers and blood disorders. And I know it was something that was really fulfilling during my time at university. I got to meet people from all other universities and have sort of discussions about trying to sort of save lives, really. And it's a great thing to be a part of. If anyone is interested, I'm happy to answer any questions about it as well. But that was something that I did sort of before my placement and after, and it kept me sort of connected to my university. And then here, 2023, photo of me happy, finished my degree, and I'm now back at Roche as an associate within RBBO. So that is me. I don't know if Jasmine has joined and can do her introduction, or if
I
not.
think not yet, but let's continue with some questions, Robin.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing. And my first question for you would be, why did you decide to apply to Roche when looking for an internship or a placement?
Yep. So I decided to apply to Roche because, as I said, my university time was quite disrupted. So I knew that I wanted to do a placement. I think I decided quite late that I wanted to do a placement year. So when sort of researching different opportunities, Roche came up, and I knew that it was a placement that I wanted to apply for because I knew that I didn't want to do a lab-based placement. So I think that's something that is quite sort of important to highlight about the UK placement schemes that we have in Welling, is that they're not lab-based, and that was something that I knew I didn't want to do from my lab experience. I think sometimes it can be quite challenging, and I hadn't had much experience in that area. So I knew I wanted to get exposure to industry, but without having to do it sort of in a lab with long hours. I knew that this placement was near, I'm from North London, so it was near where I live. So it allowed me to sort of relocate back home. I wouldn't have had to move out anywhere, which I knew with sort of pandemics being in and out and, you know, having to meet new people, I thought it was good to do that through work and not have to have that additional thing. But I also didn't know much about clinical trials. I think I know from doing my GCSEs, I learned about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But that was all I knew about clinical trials. So it was an area that I was pretty interested in, because I think even when you're personally sort of taking prescribed medications or things, you don't necessarily know how the process works. So it was something I was interested in. And I know with the COVID vaccines, that was something that I was even more interested in. How did they get these sort of to market so rapidly and getting the treatment to patients? So I think there were multiple factors, obviously sort of like more the social factors, but then I had the interest, and I also knew that I didn't want to do a lab-based placement. So yeah, that's why I applied to Roche.
Great. And Robin, how was your recruitment cycle? So how did you apply? What was your whole experience, and potentially challenges as well?
Yep. So there were 3 main stages to my recruitment at Roche. So initially I submitted my application, which was a CV and a short cover letter. I know that this is something that often you don't get taught in UK schools. I know that I didn't, in terms of getting my CV updated. So that was something sort of new. But then I had a video interview, which was sort of through an automated system. It came up with questions that had been pre-recorded by members of staff, and then I had to record my answers. So it was like a pre-recorded video interview, but the questions were quite casual, just asking about my university course and yeah, just sort of some icebreaker questions, I guess, so that the recruitment panel could get a feel to if I would sort of fit in at Roche. And then I got invited to an assessment centre and an interview. So this was because mine was still when we were in and out of lockdowns. My assessment centre was virtual. So so yeah, it was on a Google Meet. There were a few others on there, and we had to create a presentation, sort of designing our own clinical trial. That was I found it quite challenging. I think especially being virtual, it meant that sometimes, you know, it can be quite hard to, when people have lags and things like that, try and make sure that you're giving your best impression and not talking over anyone. But then I had an interview with study leaders from Roche, and it was really interesting, because obviously you have your typical sort of competency-based interview questions, but then I was allowed to ask some questions at the end to the study leaders. And because, like I said, I didn't know too much about clinical trials, I actually got a bit of a dialogue going with them, and that was really helpful in terms of, you know, making me feel comfortable, but also understanding if the placement was right for me. And I got a really good feel from that. I know that the assessment centres, I think some of them at the moment are in person now in the offices. So that is, I think some of the sort of hiccups that I had with my assessment centre will probably be sort of ironed out a little bit when that's in person and you get to meet people and have sort of that interaction in a different way. But yeah, I think my recruitment process was really, really positive. And I think, like I said, it allows you to get a feel for the company as well as they're obviously interviewing you. So then I think then I knew that I wanted to do the placement instead of, just going ahead with something that I wasn't sure about. So I think, that was my recruitment process.
Great. And when you received the offer from Roche, like it was a straight yes, or did you have other options in mind when doing or making that final decision?
Yeah, I think for me it was definitely a yes. Someone called me and told me about the offer and then sort of ran me through the whole program, and I just thought it sounded really good. Like I said, I had that great discussions on my assessment day itself, so then I got a feel for the company. So then I knew that I wanted to go through with it and also get that sort of industrial placement experience, because I know some universities, my university, didn't really push it that much. But then, so I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. And I think when I got the offer from Roche, I knew like that I was just going to go for it and take that. So I was very happy to get my offer.
Great. And then now looking backwards, so you already finished your university, now you're back at Roche, but if you think of your experience in your placement, how was it in general? What were like the highlights, and potentially would have like, I don't know, if you would change anything from your placement year, what would it be?
Yeah, I think, I had the best year, and I think that's why I was so eager to return back. I think that the placement scheme is so great. I know it might sound fake me sort of singing its praises, but I really did have the best year. Like Juliana said, there's quite a few placement students on the Welling site, so like I made so many friends through my placement year, and it's sort of great. You do work and you get trained up on different things, but you also get paid, which means that you get to spend time with these great people that you've met on placement. So I had a really great time. I knew that I developed so much. I was part of a sort of mentoring scheme. PRED was called the PRED Women's Network Mentoring Scheme. So I had a mentor that was based in Zurich. So her job was completely different to mine. She worked in cancer research labs, sort of starting from scratch and trying to find targets for cancer drugs, which I just thought was the most incredible thing. And by the end of my placement, I was able to go to Zurich and visit her and have a face-to-face meeting and sort of look at how far I'd come since the beginning of my placement, because I knew at the beginning I wouldn't even, speak up in a meeting or anything, because I think you can find as a university student, you feel like you don't have much to add because these are in industry professionals and things like that, but you really do have an insight. And I think because it's 13 months, you can sort of spend the first few months learning and training and sort of finding your feet and asking all the questions that you don't know the answers to. And then by sort of the last few months of your placement, you're like away with it. You're doing so many things. Like I said, I became pretty much a study lead on one study and, felt really confident. So I think because it is so long, you get to do so many things. And I just feel like the placement students really are valued within Roche as a company, because like there was never a point where I felt like I was, I never had to make tea for anyone or, do sort of menial tasks. It was always doing study work and doing things that can contribute to ultimately getting medicines to patients. And that's like someone doing biology. And as I said, been involved with stem cell charity, like that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do a job that really like got me up in the morning, because I think it is quite challenging, especially when you're a graduate and you know that you have to work for the rest of your life. You want to be doing something that you enjoy. So yeah, I think that's sort of my reflections on the year. Don't know if you have any follow-up questions or anything.
Thank you, Robin. So I will just go back to Jasmine because she's back. And then Jasmine, we changed a little bit the way that we're doing it. So we're improvising a bit. So the idea would be for you once again to share who you are, and then I'll give you I'll share a couple of questions so that then we can have like at least 5 minutes for the Q&A, if that works.
Okay, that sounds good. Can you hear me okay? I really hope you can.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is me. We'll start at college. I went to Brockenhurst College, which is a lovely rural place near Bournemouth where I grew up, and I studied English, literature and language, biology and chemistry. And I graduated college in 2020, so I didn't actually sit my A-levels, so that was a bit of a bummer. And then we move on to university, and I had a gap year before that, which I did a lot of working at Tesco Mobile. Pretty much just worked full time there for a year. It wasn't the best year to have a gap year. There were plans to go away, but never materialized. So I really enjoyed being at Leeds. There's a picture of me in my educational engagement team top, which I thought was the most appropriate picture for this. And then I started my industrial placement here at Roche back in June. And there's the team I'm in, as I mentioned before. And I'm really enjoying it so far. And I'm not looking forward to going back and finishing my last year, which is looming over me, but we're still quite early on. I'm a third of the way through this placement. And it's so interesting how quickly things have evolved and how quickly I've kind of been able to get used to this sort of environment. I remember when I first joined, it was a very scary experience. Even going to the assessment day, I was kind of looking around like, wow, I don't think I can see myself here. So it is pretty strange to see myself here speaking to you guys on this end of the screen, as I remember coming to a lot of these when I was in my second year.
Great, thank you for sharing. And now, Jasmine, if you could share, why did you apply for Roche, and at the end, why did you took this placement opportunity?
Yeah, so I applied to Roche because somebody who was in my role last year, so the previous placement student in DSE, did a webinar at my university. So I attended that because at that point I was kind of going to everything that I could get my hands on at any company pretty much. And she really resonated with me, and she studied natural science, which is quite different to what I study, biology. But I kind of knew from the job description that Roche wanted a mix between life sciences and also interest in data science. And I felt like that fit me pretty perfectly, as I've always kind of been quite a techie person. I self-taught Python last year in second year of university. And I knew I was kind of interested in how do you get insights from data and how do you find the magic in data, but I kind of wanted to find a way that I could apply that for a really good cause. So Roche was pretty perfect in that respect. I also met a Roche employee at a careers fair, which was really useful to find out more about the company culture. And I just got more and more interested as I did more research. So when I was told that I had received an offer, I was really, really happy. And it was a no-brainer. I was definitely going to take it, as it was my first assessment day that I went to. So I was pretty much like, yep, wonderful. I'll have that, please. So yeah, I'm very happy here.
Perfect. And then Jasmine, like, you've been 3 months. How was your onboarding process? And like, how do you feel right now? And what are you prepping for the next 9 months that you have left?
Yeah, so I'd say that the onboarding process, I found it was really well organized. I think it was really great to start with other placement students. So you're not kind of just showing up on your own to an office full of proper employees, as we call them. You're joining with a whole bunch of other people your age, which was really nice. And yeah, everything's really well organized. And there was a lot of sessions to get us used to what we're going to be doing. And your team are really friendly. So I'm the only placement student in my particular team within product development data sciences. But my team has been really welcoming, and we've gone on different team building exercises and lunches out and things like that. So onboarding's been great. I did find it quite nerve-wracking to start working in an office. This is my first job where it's international or even in an office, and I found that quite difficult. But you definitely have a lot of support available to you. And I'd say that it's been really fun joining all the extracurriculars, which are kind of like societies for work. So I've joined the neurodiversity one, the mental health one, and also the Roche Advanced Analytics Network. So they've been really good to flesh out my experience. So overall, it's been a really wonderful time, and I'm really surprised that I've become so confident. I mean, speaking to 400 odd people right now is a pretty big step, and I don't think I could see myself doing that 3 months ago when I started. So yeah, you'll definitely gain a lot of confidence if you do a placement, yeah. And the last part of that question was about 9 months, and what do I see myself doing in that time? I'll try and really quickly say my role in DSE is kind of more of a going out and finding your own projects to join and asking whether you can join a project rather than joining and having a set path that you're going to take. So I was really fortunate to be able to find a project using machine learning and AI, which was something I was very interested in and kind of the reason why I took a placement like this. So now that I've joined that, that's kind of evolving over the next, I can imagine how it would evolve over the next 9 months to, we'd probably start doing kind of more complex things and working on some things which might make more of a significant difference to the company. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that evolves.
Great, thank you. So I guess now, being very conscious of time, we can go to answer some questions, Heather.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about 5 minutes and 7 questions to answer, so I think we can get through it, albeit in a bit of a quick fire way. So the first question here is asking whether you offer accommodations for people with disability or neurodiversity, either during the application process or during or the internship itself.
Yes. So as I mentioned, diversity and inclusion is really important for Roche. And as I said, we do have a specific program for people from any background, disabilities, neurodivergence as well. But in our current programs, placements, we have had some cases. And it is a learning experience for Roche as well, because we need to have and be able to give personalized placements too, right? As our own company is doing with patients. So with here, we have some potential groups internally that support and make sure that the way that the placement and the way that the recruitment process is being managed works for your specific needs and necessities. So yeah, we try to make that experience the best for you and what you need for your disability.
Wonderful, thank you. Another question was around, can you do an internship if you're a college student, or is it that you have to be at uni?
Yeah, so if you're a college student, then potentially apprentices would be the way to go. So we do offer some apprentices, and they will start recruiting around November and December. So they are posted a bit later than the industrial placements and graduate roles. And it depends as well on what your interests are and potentially what qualifications do you want to get. But the industrial placements are linked to universities. So apprentices would be my, I would say, your best chance to start from a college student.
Wonderful, thank you. A question around visa support. Do you provide visa support for international students?
So for the industrial placements, no, because people should be studying at the UK. This makes basically this allows you to do the industrial placements or interns with us. But then for graduate roles, it depends on the scheme. So we do have some different graduate programs, and they might be able to help you with the graduate visa, which as well currently in the UK is really easy and straightforward to get.
Great. And it's an interesting segue here between grads and interns, because there was a question which says, what is the probability of getting a graduate role without having had an internship with Roche beforehand?
So we do have a strong belief that our interns are our main source of talent for the future. So we do give them the possibility to apply to graduate roles, but graduate roles are open externally as well. So we get candidates from our past placements, we get candidates that are just graduated and haven't been part of Roche, and we do a transparent process and compare, and at the end we want to get the best. We obviously encourage cases as Robin, that she was able to come back after finishing university, but we do have external applications as well. So I wouldn't say a probability or a specific number. It's probably, it's going to be open for both. And then depending on the profile, we would make decisions internally.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to ask 2 more questions. The first is kind of overarching. So there's a number of questions that are very specific to what people have studied previously and what they are able to actually go and do with you. Is there anywhere on the website where people can have a proper look at kind of what the requirements are and what they're able to do?
Yes, so everything is going to be posted from Monday. So the 2nd of October, you're going to be able to find all our programs posted at the same time. And here you will be able to see what are like the specific requirements. As I mentioned, we do not hire necessarily on your academic background, but it should be a mix between skills, interest, and what you study.
Okay, wonderful. And finally, for our interns here today, I would like to pose a quick fire question to you. Sorry to kind of put you both on the spot, but Laura asked, do you have any tips or recommendations for preparing for the application on this scheme? So I think that would be a great question to ask you guys who've been through it. Is there anything that you think would be handy to share?
So I think my tips would probably be try and think outside of the box about how you can differentiate yourself from the others. So kind of showing that you've gone like the extra mile to do a bit more research, or you've researched something which isn't so obvious. I think that's a really good way to go. And also LinkedIn is your friend. I use a lot of LinkedIn when I was looking for placements. You can find people who work at the company and then reach out to them and kind of say like, oh, what's the company culture like? And find out really good information from there. And that also looks great on a CV and a cover letter. Sorry, not a CV, a cover letter. So yeah, those are my tips.
Wonderful, thank you.
I would say like prepare for your interview quite a lot. Like I don't think you'll be asked sort of like specific questions about the business, but I think it's just really good to be prepared, because it is a nerve-wracking sort of situation to be in an interview, and you know, ultimately you probably will get a bit nervous, but I think if you just prepare and find examples for different times when you've used different skills. I use the STAR technique, and I know that when I've prepared in an interview, it can be quite an enjoyable experience, because you're sort of telling them about the great things that you've done yourself. So I think just prepare for an interview and don't sort of just go in and just assume that you'll be able to remember everything you've done, because sometimes when you're in that pressure situation, you sort of can't. And then I think for the assessment day, I think it's really important to listen to the other people that are on your assessment day, to allow them to have input, but also, you know, you want to make yourself stand out. So, yeah, like Jasmine said, I think about sort of differentiating yourself in different ways. Like I said, with my interview, I'd sort of prepared a few questions to be quite inquisitive, but yeah, I think ultimately just be yourself, because Roche wants sort of different personalities and people from different backgrounds, and you know, it's a really welcoming company. So I don't think you've got anything sort of to be afraid of if you do reach interview or assessment centre.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And yes, that's the end of the questions. So thank you all so much. I don't know whether there's anything else you'd like to add from your side just before we end the session.
Something super quick. I sent a link to the chat in which anyone that is interested in being the first ones to know when a program is opened in the UK, you can register there and you will get all the notifications when our placements, graduates, apprentices start recruiting. So you can register there if you want. And thank you so much.
No problem at all. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody at Roche here today on the panel. It's been super engaging, really interesting. Thank you so much. And to everybody who's joined as well in our audience, thank you for your wonderful questions, for staying with us. Like I said, everything will be emailed over to you within the next few days, so you can refer back to it. But yes, have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.